Do you know what I've realised? Some of the best bits about early retirement aren't the things that I expected them to be. I thought that it would be about big holidays or ticking off bucket list items, you know, the big things that have a big impact. But turns out I was wrong. It's the small, seemingly really simple things that have had the biggest impact for me. Like going on a rabbit hunt with my 9-year-old granddaughter. Yesterday, I took my granddaughter Connie on a girlie road trip in Pete, our campervan. She'd never been in the campervan on a trip before. She'd been in it, but not away in it. And it was an adventure for me and an adventure for her because it was the first time I'd taken Pete to a campsite without my husband Mark with me. And normally he does the driving and he does a lot of the kind of the setting up and the doing. And although I have had one solo road trip in the van, I didn't stay on a campsite. So it was a real adventure for both of us. So we set off yesterday about midday with our bags packed and a lot of excitement in the air. She was just absolutely thrilled at the idea of sleeping in the van and just going away with me, I think. And it's so interesting because we do spend a lot of time together, but often it's the mundane day-to-day stuff that we're doing. You know, I pick her up from school. Quite often I'll drop her off. She often stays over because of work commitments and things. And it's lovely. It's so lovely when she's here. But this felt like real quality time. And it's kind of what grandparenting should be, I suppose. But I just think back to when I was a parent and I was working full time. And I just don't think I ever had that kind of quality time with my daughter. And even if I had the headspace for it, I don't think I'd have had the energy. And yet, because I'm not working anymore and I'm still only 59, I feel like I've got the energy to do these things. And more importantly now, I've got the time. And it really did make me just reflect on how important these simple little adventures are. You know, we didn't go far. It was about 30 minutes away from where I live. So it wasn't like it was a big holiday. It was one night away in the van. It was a bit of a spontaneous decision. I only made the decision on Saturday for us to go away. And I didn't even tell her until the day before we went. So it was a spontaneous decision. But it was Easter weekend. It was Easter Monday that we went away. And it was beautiful because the campsite that we were staying on had loads of rabbits everywhere. So we had all these Easter bunnies going on, and it was magical seeing her having her own adventure. And she spotted the rabbits out of the window on the van and said, "Oh, can we go and have a look?" And unfortunately, the weather was atrocious. It was just pouring down for most of the day. But around about 6 o'clock in the evening, the weather shifted a little bit. We were able to get out and go for a walk. And she wanted to do a rabbit hunt. She wanted to see how many we could find. And it was just a very simple little game that we were playing together. And for her, it was exciting and it was a little adventure. And actually for me, it was an opportunity to play. I think sometimes when we get older, we lose the ability to just play, to do something silly for the sake of doing something silly. And we literally went out and we counted rabbits. We were having a little competition to see who could guess the right amount. I said 15, she said 20. I think we actually saw 17 in the end, so I think we can call it a draw. But it was just magical. And then we also spent a bit of time making junk journals, just doing some crafting together, which I have to put my hands up and confess, quite often I just don't have the inclination to do with her in the house. But because we were away, it felt special. We did some crafting. She made a beautiful little junk journal. She'd never heard of them until quite recently, to be fair, neither had I. But she really kind of grasped the idea and really enjoyed the whole creative process. And like me, she has ADHD, so she has quite a short attention span. But being in the van, it meant that we could switch between things. So we did a little bit of junk journaling, we spent a little bit of time playing Uno, then we went out on our rabbit hunt, and then we came back and we curled up with some popcorn and some Pringles, and we watched Paddington in Peru on the TV, and it was just a proper girly road trip, nanny and granddaughter. You know, there's like 50 years between us, and it was just magical. I just loved it. And then this morning we got up and we did things together, simple little things like going across to the shower block and getting ready for the day, and then we made all the bed up in the van, you know, put everything away, tidied up. Then we went off for a walk around the lakes. We went to the cafe, we had some breakfast, and it was quality family time, just the two of us. And I realise how absolutely privileged I am to have the joy of a grandchild. I know that's not something that everybody has, either by choice or by chance, but you know, I feel very fortunate that I have that. I only have one grandchild. I don't know if we'll ever have any more, but it was just a beautiful opportunity to have some quality time together, and hopefully for her to see, I guess, see a role model in me that I do things, I have little adventures, I take a 6-metre camper van out on my own and we park up and, you know, have a little adventure. Now, I do realise that this may not sound very adventurous to some people, but for me, who's never been particularly adventurous, jumping in a van and going off on my own is an adventure. You know, I think I desperately want to break the stereotype that girls don't do these things or women don't do these things. I want her to grow up realising that anything is possible for her. And the best way, I think, to do that is to let her experience a little bit of that when she's young. That my mum never even learned to drive. So I think I was brought up in a very traditional way where the man is the breadwinner, the man does the DIY, and the man drives. I mean, I've been driving many, many years, I have to say, but I still think, you know, there's a stereotype that I was brought up with that I never really questioned until I was much older. And now in my 50s, I want to break that stereotype. I don't, you know, I had my business and I was doing things for myself. I wasn't just working. I was creating my own business and driving the camper van and having solo road trips and solo adventures. It's not in my nature. So it does feel like I'm putting myself out of my comfort zone a little bit to do that. And I want her to see that. I want her to have those memories of Nanny, which is what she calls me, not being scared to try things, you know, to do things. She thinks it's amazing that I'm on YouTube. And I guess, you know, if I take a step back and think about some of the people my age that I know, they wouldn't do YouTube. They wouldn't get in a van and drive on their own. They, you know, it's just the era that I was brought up in and the era that many of my friends were brought up in. They just wouldn't do those things. I think there's a difference now. I think there are, because we've got things like YouTube and we can see other people who perhaps live less than conventional lives, going out and having adventures and trying new things and living differently, there are different influences out there that I didn't have when I was younger. I don't think when we were growing up, we were exposed to people who did things differently. You know, I suppose in the 70s, when I was a child, that we had punk and we had sort of the leftovers of the hippie era in the 60s. But they felt a million miles from me. It was what we saw on television that didn't feel real. They were detached. Whereas now I think YouTube, and part of the reason I think this is why I love YouTube and social media in general to an extent, is that it's creating role models that we may not have been exposed to when we were younger. And I kind of want to be one of those role models, specifically to my granddaughter, but maybe to anybody else who's a little bit, you know, younger and watching this, or ideally to people who are my age. So if you're my age, you're the people I'm hoping to inspire maybe a little bit. And, you know, the things I'm doing aren't way out there. You know, they're not massive big adventures and massive big exciting things, but maybe they're a little bit out of the comfort zone of the vast majority of women my age, especially if you've had a similar sort of upbringing, that kind of stereotype of the woman's place in the world. If that's what you've been brought up like me, hopefully maybe I can influence you a little bit to push yourself out of your comfort zone, if that's something that, you know, like me, you struggle with a little bit. And if you're already one of those women that's out there living their best life, then obviously this doesn't probably apply. And if you are, drop it in the comments, because I want to be inspired to do things as well. Anyway, on that note, I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of the joy and the fun that Connie and I had. I don't often put her on YouTube, but she was happy to be in this video. I did ask her, and I asked her mum as well, and her mum was quite happy too. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, do me a favour, please hit the like button, the thumbs up button, and leave a comment below. They're all little indicators to YouTube that my content is appealing to somebody. And also, if you're not subscribed, do hit the subscribe button. And again, it's just another lovely indicator to YouTube. And hopefully it will help get my content out there so more people can see it. And I really appreciate that. And I'm going to leave it there. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Cordon bleu. But what has she got? What's she got?
You've got red, you've got red. You got yellow, you got yellow, you got yellow, you got blue, you got blue.
Oh, do I look like a granny?
You look like a nanny.
Do I look like a nanny, do I? You look like a ninny.
That's rude. Stop looking at me. I got one. I got two, I guess.
Is that all you've got? No. No. You've got way more than that.
I don't like you very much anymore.
Well, I think that's quite rude.
You said that to me. You said I don't think I like you anymore.
How many times do you want me to whop you before we do something else? Uno.
No.
Is that about 97-0? Oh, you know, you have won one, haven't you? Where are you going?
To hide. I'm ashamed.